The recording. Hello, everyone. Today is the NLP Forum, where we teach techniques, tips, do interviews, things like that. And today we're going to do one of the NLP members in the Master Trainer course, in fact, is going to talk about something. She calls it the buddy board. We've heard of vision boards. What's the other one? There's another one: buddy board, vision board, action board. Where you put down the actions you need to take to you do your vision board. This way, I think Joe Vitale said this, right? My dear friend, Joe, I got to do my movement. My dear friend Joe, and I actually know him. I can say that because he used to come to the Guild for about 4 or 5 years. He was at the National Guild of Convention, National Guild of Hypnotists Convention, had a booth. And it was right before he quit, of course, right after The Secret took off, and people go, why did he quit going? I go, well, if you make $35 million, I'm pretty sure you've got other things to do than go hang around with a bunch of hypnotists, and make maybe 3 or 4 or 5 grand in your booth. Anyway, I think it's vision board. Then you create an action board of some of the things you can do to get to your vision board. And now we could add your buddy board that will support your actions and your vision.
Exactly.
So we'll put it all together. We'll have somebody else do a vision board workshop with an NLP slant, and I'll have somebody do the action board workshop with an NLP slant. So I will turn it over to Miss Carolyn East, who today she's expressing her masculine side with Rick East on the
My masculine side comes out all too often.
Yeah.
I
and so we'll turn it over to you. If people want, those 3 dots, you could pin it and pin the video so we can just see her. You don't have to see everybody. And that's what I'm doing for the recording. So go ahead, Miss. I'd like to introduce everybody to Miss Carolyn East, who's going to teach the buddy board.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. This is exciting and it's fun for me. And I already have Michelle's enthusiastic support. She contacted me yesterday and said she went out and bought poster board, so she's ready to create. And that's the spirit in which I present this to you. This is not highly technical. This is more food for the imagination and inspiration. So with that, I go forward. I do want to say, since it's Wednesday forum, funny thing happened on the way to the forum for me. I was just telling Dr. Will, there would have been slides except for the fact that on Monday, my identity was stolen, and I've spent the last 2 days with the police department and the banks trying to put my life back together and regain the money that was stolen. So there are no slides. However, we're going to have fun. We're going to keep busy, and we're going to move forward because we're flexible. Life happens. So little bit about myself. I know, Dr. Will, you have in the past mentioned that I have a diverse background, and that is indeed true. I've worked in several different fields. I do have I was a double major and have a degree in social welfare and corrections, so strong psychology and criminal justice background. My internship was done in the California state penal system. I actually lived in, it was a minimum to medium security men's prison. Very interesting. That's a book in and of itself. Lived there while I did the internship and worked in the women's prison in a town nearby called Frontera. And this was back in the 70s, early 70s. I'm giving my age away, actually, when the Manson women were there. And so I've had some really interesting experiences in my days in prison. Like Dr. Will, I have done my time and lived to talk about it. So it's been a really good ride and a very diverse background. But I also have worked in the corporate sector, the corporate world, worked at Hewlett Packard, did a lot of traveling in that work. So I've been exposed. I worked with cowboys for quite a few years, marketing their music, their art, the rodeo circuit. It's just been a fun ride attending the NFR, in Las Vegas every year, and the big rodeos. Worked for an organization very similar to Make-A-Wish, uh, called Western Wishes, where we worked with celebrities and supported children who were chronically ill or had terminal diseases. So I've seen many different aspects of life. That's me. Okay, so what is a buddy board? I was introduced to the buddy board through friends of mine that I meditate with in a meditation group. And the buddy board is really a collection of those people, and it can be anyone. They can be historical figures, they could be people you admire, they could be people you've known in the past, they could be dead or alive, but it's that figure, that being, that serves as kind of a bridge or a conduit to assist you in embodying the qualities you choose to emulate. So in NLP, when we do certain exercises and we think of a person or personality whose qualities we want to emulate, think of the buddy as a substitute for that person. Often when someone says to me, think of someone, think of a role model, I go blank. It's all of a sudden, it's like, well, it could be this person because I like the work they do, but this person seems really brilliant in another area, and I just go blank. With my buddy board, I already know that these are people I have selected to kind of act as my guides to get me through that conscious state of being and raise me up into the superconscious. Dr. Joe Dispenza speaks a lot about the superconscious. And in other terms, we may look at it or call it our divine self, our higher self, our wiser self. Sometimes you might have a client that is agnostic, just, not religious, doesn't believe in God. And you don't want to refer to necessarily your divine self because you're going to alienate them. So it could be that buddy, that person who inspires you, that person who lifts you, that person that you have such a high level of respect for, that they can get you up into your most intuitive, highest self. And from that part of our consciousness, we can really make change. We can change our confidence levels, our self-esteem, and so on. So I like to say that your buddy enables you to rise above or outside of the conscious mind, and easily, seamlessly transports you to your superconscious mind. It transcends, it gives you that ability actually to transcend the man-made, misunderstood, no longer relevant, outdated boundaries or obstacles that we allow ourselves to believe that hold us back. So that buddy that you bring into your life is that coach, that guide, that's going to carry you beyond or raise you up. So is the buddy board strictly mental? Is it emotional? Does it bring comfort? Is it a physical thing? Yes to all of the above. I've seen people create it, and I do it for myself using a physical board and printing off pictures of those people whom I have selected to be my buddies. And it's a dynamic tool. It can change. You know, there are so many, there's no limit to the number of people in this world that we admire for different reasons. And at some point in your life, given the circumstances, you're going to have needs to have wisdom from these different people. So your buddies are going to change. They're going to come and go. And that's relevant. It's relevant to what you're doing, what you're working on. Just for a little fun, I want to show you a picture of one of my buddies. You tell me if you recognize who this is. Oh, you're muted. Okay. So just take a look at the picture, and at the end, when we're unmuted, give me your feedback. So there's number one. I have several. And then we'll talk about why that person is so incredibly important to me. Okay, and I'm going to encourage you as we go through this to think about for yourself, who would your buddies be? If you were building a buddy board today, who would you choose and why? And how would they help you? Okay. Who uses the buddy board? And why would they use it? Okay, everyone. The buddy board is for everyone. It's for you, for your clients. It's something you engage during a therapy session or a hypnosis session, NLP. It's a way to encourage them to free their mind, to enhance your creativity, to enhance their creativity. I often select, and we'll go more into detail about this just in a few minutes, but I have often heard quotes that I absolutely loved, that they became mantras to me because they were important, they fit my life. And when I went to look up the source of those quotes, found that they were people I was very familiar with and just didn't realize that was who said that quote. So some of my buddies I actually selected that way, you know, through research. Some I knew throughout history and they always intrigued me. But quotes certainly can become mantras, and maybe not always in the original form, but you can paraphrase. Now in NLP, we have another name for mantras. We call them incantations. And it's very helpful as an exercise in building self-esteem and self-confidence. And we know that your mind will reject it unless internally you really do believe that that quote or that incantation is feasible. And so as we, you know, I'm having a senior moment. When we resonate with a personality and that quote becomes so internalized because it works for us, it becomes a model for us, then that incantation is going to work. It's going to stick. It's going to inspire you to continue to make the change you want to make. And that's what really makes the buddy board so powerful, or the buddies you choose for your board. And that's one of the things I love most about it. And it's one of the things that has given me, I think, the courage in many aspects of my life to make change. It also enhances your sense of perspective. When you look at life, when you are thinking yourself through a situation, whether you're using the HOT model, whether you're just sitting and meditating about a certain situation, when you think through the mind or the eyes of this personality that you have chosen as your buddy, your perspective changes. Your horizon widens. You look at life differently. And I know, as someone who diligently now every morning follows the advice of my dear friend and mentor, Dr. Will Horton, I wake every morning and I express gratitude for all of the goodness in my life. And I ask myself questions. And now I've been able to broaden the kinds of questions, positive questions with positive outcomes, that I ask through the eyes of the intellect of my buddies. What wisdom, what creativity, what experiences and passions are you missing without a buddy? What new ways can you find to explore if you look at the universe, if you look at the world around you through the eyes of Stephen Hawking or Albert Einstein? My gosh, you know, the possibilities are endless. And there's a book actually that I really love and I highly recommend. It's called The Art of Possibility. And it's just a wonderful book. It's just about learning to keep your mind open. And instead of saying, oh, this won't work or this won't work and finding the flaws, you just say, well, what if? What if this was possible? What if this buddy I choose was standing right here beside me? What would that person encourage me to ask or to say or to do? And as we have learned from our mentor, we know that when we ask the right questions, we activate our reticular activating system. And I can only imagine when personalities like Nikola Tesla or Thomas Edison asked questions of the universe, what their reticular activating systems looked like. What did they see? What came into their world? Oh my goodness. If I could only think like that, well, maybe there is a way to turn that on. Okay, so clearly, the purpose of the buddy board moves well beyond meditation and into therapy. And so, as I have been kind of leading you down this path, I think you can begin to see and conceptualize how the buddy board or the buddies you choose is naturally a fit within the realm and the exercises of NLP. And as I see, this is kind of a beta version of this class, and I see it expanding to becoming a 2-hour or maybe even a half-day class because there's so much we could get into. But as I was thinking about and imagining and using the resources of the buddies I've chosen, and I will reveal them to you at the end, I started looking at the Basic Practitioner Manual. And that's the manual we used in the Essentials of NLP class and looking at the exercises and found, oh, I think 6 or 7 where the buddy would work really well. I could modify some of those. Dr. Will, I would obviously work with you and check with you on, what you think my take would be on some of these modifications. But it really works well. I talked about the incantations and how you could modify and help someone who's really struggling. Maybe they've never had a positive role model in their life. Maybe they can relate more easily to a figure in history that they wish they were related to, that they wish they could connect with, because they didn't have that as a model in their real lives. So it's a natural fit in my eyes. But by altering the way we present some of these exercises, I think there is the possibility of reaching or breaking through to clients who may not previously have responded in earlier sessions. And I've had my fair share of clients that it was like speaking to a brick wall, and at that time, I didn't have the resource of the buddy board I wish I had, because I think things could have turned out very differently. I believe too, you can create a buddy to your own specifications, like you would if you were modeling the perfect person that you want to become. So they can embody the perfect qualities from maybe several buddies. But there's so much flexibility when you think about it. The possibilities truly are endless. So the benefits to you, the WIFM, as I like to say, the what's in it for me, for you to use this system and introduce it potentially to your clients, is that, number one, it's a new angle, it's a new perspective, it's a new way to approach the obstacles in your life. It's a way to enhance your creativity. I hit writer's block. I experience writer's block all the time. 23 hours a day, I can be getting these brilliant ideas. And the moment I sit down at the computer to start putting it in words, they just dissipate like the mist, on a bog. And then I get writer's block. Well, what if I could channel into, again, some of the greatest writers? Maybe that would help. And indeed, actually, I have tried it and it does help. But I want each of you to really think about embodying a personality that maybe you don't know personally and intimately, but either through history or reading, you can imagine how they might advise you in a certain situation. You can imagine seeing their energy and their aura. And we all know that the word imagine is the most powerful word in the English language. So you bring these people to life. You bring them back from the 14th century, from 10 years ago, from whomever it is and whenever they lived. And it helps you to create new metaphors. It helps your client. New stories, new illustrations. new ways to look at the world, new perspectives on life. And that's really what NLP is all about. So as I mentioned just a few moments ago, I looked at several of the exercises in the Basic Practitioner Manual, and I'd like to kind of lay these out. And I'm so open to feedback, so I would love to hear what you think, and any constructive criticism you may have to offer afterwards. But I talked about the incantations, and I want to give you an example of incantations that I chose, or actually they're quotes from two of my buddies, and how they could be put into an effective light with the incantations. First one is Anne Frank, and I want to paraphrase one of her quotes. And does everyone know who Anne Frank is? Yes, okay. Okay, so you're familiar with her life circumstance. And I did do some paraphrasing. She had a quote that said, "Everyone has inside him a piece of good news. The good news is that you don't know how great you can be, how much you can love, what you can accomplish, and what your potential is." My paraphrased version of that would be, there's good news. I can be great. Here's an incantation. I can be great. I can love. I have the capacity to love. I can accomplish anything I set my mind to. I have unlimited potential. All based in that one quote. There's another one, Eleanor Roosevelt, who is another buddy of mine, has a quote that says, essentially, and I am paraphrasing, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Actually, that's the exact quote. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. That's powerful for someone who's always in the victim state of mind. Wow, what an eye-opener. So that's how I could incorporate, for instance, use of the buddy board into the incantation exercise. Another one of my most beloved buddies is Benjamin Franklin. What a character. He was brilliant. What a genius, an inventor, a writer, a comedian in his day, a charismatic social butterfly. I mean, he was the Renaissance man of his day, I would say. He had, and I would use this, just another example of how you can incorporate the use of a buddy into therapy. For those who are not religious and don't believe in God, you don't want to talk about behavior and the 10 Commandments, because it's not going to resonate. But Benjamin Franklin created his 13 rules of morality, or something, I think, again, paraphrased. And they're really interesting. And I have them written. I'm not going to go through them now because we don't have the time, but look it up. It's just really fun to read. He was quite a guy. The visual squash was one that I thought of you could integrate. Maybe in steps 5 or 6. of the visual squash is one where you might be able to integrate a buddy. New behavior generator, certainly as a role model or someone you want to emulate. How about the swish pattern in the magic mirror? Again, bringing in that personality that becomes you. And you may see it as a physical change as well. Developing self-appreciation. Wow, powerful. Seeing yourself through the eyes of someone who loves you. Dr. Will, I believe that one's yours. That's a great one. I love that one. Change your story. That's a great exercise. Even reparenting, I could see that. Enveloping characters and qualities that, you know, you wish you had, that in that particular exercise, we talk about using qualities that you have that maybe your parents didn't use at the time you were a child. How about bringing in the qualities of a buddy that you admire? And of course, building self-confidence. So I see this as a truly a new dimension that one could add to NLP exercises, to an approach with a particularly difficult client, and certainly as an approach that you can use for yourself and your own self-esteem and confidence before you see a client. One of my rituals that I do is, before, I don't schedule clients back to back. I schedule usually minimum half an hour between clients so that I can take a breath, walk around, clear my head, and do a short meditation before the next one comes in. And that's when I often employ the assistance of a buddy. So, you know, that helps you to see me and know me, gives you a little insight as to my style. And my style is very laid back. I do this work because I love it. I'm certainly not getting rich, but I do it because I love people and I love working with people. And I love being able to use my creativity and not have to operate inside a box, a constraining box of rules. You know, I'm not a licensed professional. I'm not a licensed clinical social worker. So I have this opportunity to expand my techniques, and that's why I really have adopted and come to love expanding my approach in this way. So I know you like to stay between 45 minutes and an hour. I'm at the 45-minute. How's that for timing? The 45-minute mark right now. And I'd love to address questions if there are any.
Well, I people can unmute. I put together my buddy list. I'm going to go
good.
I got 3 lists for business: Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Tony Robbins, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Joe Vitale.
Brilliant.
For acting, because that's my other thing, right? Paul Newman, Anthony Hopkins, Robert Redford, Tom Cruise, Arnold Schwarzenegger, again, believe it or not, Hugh Jackman, and Michael Caine. And for science and therapy, they go together. I've got Milton Erickson, Nicholas Tesla, Einstein, Tony Robbins, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Stephen Hawking. I can never pronounce that guy's name. Miko Kaku, the guy from MIT, teaches theoretical physics. Who else I have? Oh, Viktor Frankl.
Oh, yes.
So those are my, now I can go find, and I'm going to put together 3 little lists with a couple of their quotes.
Fun. And you bring up a really great point, Dr. Will, in that you can specialize. I have a list for this section of my life, and that's I do the same. The list I'm sharing with you today is pretty general, but I also have many more in different areas of my life. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so who else is jump in with some of your, who are you
Yeah.
gonna
Please.
gonna be on your buddy list? What about you, Miss Lori from Canada? I gotta do it. I can't.
That's okay. I can do the American. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I have a few people, like some are, and I was thinking of what you're saying is like, sometimes they don't have to be here and maybe they don't even have to be real. So Yoda. So I have a lot of Yoda quotes, right? I mean, his train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose, or try not, do not, right? There is no try. So I have a little stash of him around. And it's good because I do look for quotes, because I opened up a Facebook page and most of it is based on using language and NLP type language to help people make changes, like switch their language and start to do that. Yoda, from a creative and artistic, like Oscar Wilde, right? Be yourself, everyone else is taken care of. I mean, he's a witty guy, and just made a mark in life. And I look at people in our own industry, and certainly you, Dr. Horton, but here in, you know, some of the conferences that I've gone to here, and people is like Yvonne Oswald, right? I mean, she's competent, and you probably know her or of her, right? Very motivational, like straight on. So, and so I'm building those boards as well. And a point came to mind too, if people, you know, like as people move through this, and maybe from a therapy perspective, is maybe they step into that and say, and the question might be, if you were on somebody's buddy board, what are the qualities that you have that,
I like that.
that they would have you on their buddy board for?
Oh, I love that.
Cool.
Can I steal that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I was thinking that maybe that helps people to, yeah, no, please. But that might help people kind of unlock something within themselves, because they're obviously admiring something in others.
Yeah, thank you.
That's my 2 cents worth.
I love it.
Okay. How about you, Albert? Who's going to be on your buddy board?
I have a couple of different categories. I would say on the fitness side would be Billy Blanks. Yeah. No. Yeah. One of those.
I just bought my bands the other day, so I'm starting to do the band work with him. Yep. Cool.
Yeah. No, I like his work. On the hypnosis NLP side would be, you know, Jerry Kine. Steve D. Jones, Richard Nongard, Gil Boyne, Dave Hellman. Business leadership would be like Tony Robbins, Joe Vitale. On the acting side, as far as the theatrical side, I would say there's an agency who Barry McPherson, who used to work at William Morris Endeavor, and looks another big agency, APA, which represents major celebrities. A couple of casting directors that I know that have been around for a long time, they're on my list. So, it varies. I think, on various facets of life. On the psychology side, I would say, like Freud, Alfred Adler, Carl Rogers, Abraham Maslow. So I have a different, just different areas of my life. I had different people on my buddy board that I would be consulting with.
Cool. Cool.
Thank you.
All right. What about you, Miss Irene? Maybe she's not. Okay.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
Great, thank you. How are you?
Good.
I too live in Canada.
Hey.
Hey. Well, I'm just starting all this. This is all new to me. So, but I find it extremely interesting. Thank you very much for today's presentation. Wow. Anyways, I, in the business area, I really enjoy listening to you, Dr. Horton. As I said, I'm new at this. I've been listening to all your videos recently, and certainly it's an eye-opener. Made me realize that I'm into this crime of existence a bit. Anyways, so in the music area, being that I'm musically inclined, Barbara Streisand has always been my idol. Being Canadian, Celine Dion. So anyone in those, that area, I really enjoy. I have been reading a little bit on Dave Ellman, business, Tony Robbins and Joe Vitale. I enjoy listening to them as well. Acting, Tom Hanks.
Oh, yeah.
I really love him. He can do just about any character. I also enjoy, I've worked in the movie industry here in Canada. So I've worked with a number of actors, and I enjoy working with many of the American actors because they get into character very quickly. Different to Canadian actors, Denzel Washington, I worked with him, Gene Hackman, Tim Robbins, another actor I enjoy, Kevin Costner. So there's a number of them that I have worked and actually, enjoyed listening to what they have to say from time to time. I don't know if I've answered your question, sorry.
That's good. That's good. Cool.
No, very good.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Cool.
Thanks.
And Miss Michelle.
So, I thought I knew until now. I have to change my buddies because some of them I'm like, you don't stand up to my standards. I previously, like even in class, when we talked about, who are our role models or who do we want to build to, I know a lot of people just love her. Is Gabby Bernstein, and I thought previously until I listened to this, I thought, well, she took, her story, she was an addict and all this, and then built it into this mega empire. But she ripped off Esther Hicks. I mean, totally. She's just saying Esther Hicks stuff. But she still is, this zillionaire. And I thought, wow, that's a really neat, how she did that. I'm like, no, I don't want to rip someone off. Too many people have already ripped off Esther Hicks and made a ton of money. And I don't want to be someone who rips off other people. But so at first I thought, oh, I just want to use my story and go, on that path like Gabby Bernstein did. But I'm thinking her path is not the path I want. So I'm crossing her off my list. And I did. I just crossed her off. I really did.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm a note taker. I write everything down. And so I really do like Esther Hicks' style. I think she's fluid, goes off the cuff. She's kind, compassionate. whether she's
She likes
truly,
sports cars.
does she like sports cars?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she
Oh,
drives a $250,000 Audi.
oh, well, there you go.
Oh,
I
good
need to
for
have, see,
her.
then that's the one I want to follow.
Yeah.
Forget the imposter, you know. Whether or not she's able to, you know, I think she truly does it. Who am I to say? I don't know. But regardless, the information she's giving out is really nice and kind and really helps people. And I want to really help people. Um, I also love Louise Hay. I think she started later in life.
Yeah.
And I'm later in life. And so I want, you know, how did she do it? And she was unmarried and had to do it all on her own. So, like, you know, also Milton Erickson, because, you know, he's, in my mind, just an amazing genius, magical and amazing. Tony Horton, because he's so powerful. I think that's amazing. So I love Louise Hay, her gentle, kind, let's talk, la la. And then Tony Horton, F you, do this, you know, get it right, you know. And I'm like, woohoo. So both of them energize me. I like that. And I also love, and you know, of course, Joe Dispenza and Vitaly, but I love with every fiber in my being. I worked in his home for 5 years, I was in his, I mean, I love Milton Hershey. I love him.
Oh,
And I, he failed 3 times in business before he became, you know, so a millionaire. And then he used all his money to help others, you know, also to live the life he wants to live, which is what I want to do. I want to live the life I want to live, but I want to help others. And now Milton Hershey Trust is worth, you know, depending on the stock of the day, but approximately $13-14 billion. It's the largest trust in the world, like this, and the wealthiest K through 12 school in the world, K through 12. And I appreciate his stick to itness, and he did it right here where I'm living. And so, I mean, his story is incredible. So those are my models for the business. For fitness, I have no clue. I changed I used to love Richard Simmons, and I worshipped at the feet of Richard Simmons at one point. You know, I discoed with Richard Simmons, but now, you
you
know,
almost did, I think.
yeah. And I did the kickboxing. Also, I had the blue, the green, and the red, blue, yellow, red videos, but I don't know. So I will have to think about that one. But I really appreciate that. And of course, in real life people, I would say Dr. Curtis, Dr. Horton, and you guys, you know, Caroline and Albert and Laurie and Irene, who have all accomplished so many things. I mean, you would each tell me, I know, you know, that it, to just move forward. And what's the next step? Because you're all intelligent and creative people.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, the only thing I would add probably from my viewpoint is if you put somebody on your board that's still alive, don't ever meet them.
Yeah. I thought about you when I said that about Tony Robbins. Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. Cause sometimes you're like, well, you never know, you know? And
He
then of
seems
course,
like
what
he'd
if
be
they,
moody.
yeah. And what if they're just having a bad day the day you meet them, you know?
True.
So everybody can have that. But anyway, so good stuff. This will be posted up and yeah, so
Excellent,
that's
Caroline.
something
Excellent.
that I can find
Well,
some,
it's helpful.
you
Yeah.
know, and we'll have fun with it. It's a good, and I decided I'm going to redo my vision board. It's sitting over here. I need to redo it because
Yeah.
some things have changed.
So I do my vision board once a year, and I was saying to Caroline recently, I think I said it to you, that I think I should redo it after COVID, like the post-COVID vision board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life changes us, and our goals change. Everything changes. Your buddies will change. So,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So was your buddy Caroline Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or was that Anne Frank?
No, it was Anne Frank that I showed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But also Eleanor Roosevelt. What a great humanitarian. I love that lady. Also, you're going to laugh, Annie Oakley. The target shooter. And
you are Annie Oakley, those people who stole your identity. You just,
yeah. Would I like to hunt them down?
Oh my gosh.
Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay.
My daddy.
Oh.
Okay.
He was with me till 6 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
what a man. His story, that's got to be a book. That's in there someday because he was a phenomenal man. A movie should be made of his life. The Bielski brothers, anybody familiar with that story? They were Jewish brothers who witnessed the murder of their parents, when the Nazis went into Russia. They ran off into the woods to save their lives and determined to save other Jews. They smuggled Jews out of the towns as the Nazis were going in and carting them off and shooting them. And they built an encampment of 1,200 Jews in the woods. For 2.5 years they lived. They saved all these lives. They called it Little Jerusalem in the Woods. And they lived, they even fought, one of the brothers went off and fought with the Russians against the Nazis, even though the Russians had been killing Jews also. They came from the same town my father was born in Lida, Belarus. So they just, I feel like they're family. And they were very close to my father's age. My dad was almost 101 when he died. And Plato, a magnificent, magnificent humanitarian. And then finally, Ben Franklin. So those are my buddies. And that's just in the humanitarian kind of the social work part of my life. And there are others in other aspects, but a little bit about me. So,
All right.
thanks, everyone.
All right. So we'll see everyone next week. I don't know what the topic will be yet, but we'll have a topic by next week.
May I ask a question?
Sure, you can.
Thank you. The young lady that did the presentation today, I'm sure is your name Rick East?
Oh no.
Carrie. She's Carrie.
I'm on my husband's computer.
All right. I thought. Anyways, these boards you're talking about and all those pictures, do you actually have a board with all the pictures on it? Or do you have these pictures? Okay. And so the board, do you actually have it in the office where you take your clients or in a separate office?
No, I have not. I think it's actually a great idea to bring it in to the office so they can physically see.
Right.
I keep it at home.
All right. For your own use.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. That's your board, huh, Dr. Will?
Yep. Sorry, I had my headphones off. I couldn't hear.
Yeah. No,
that's my vision board.
Oh, wow.
Do have the horses.
Oh, yeah.
I need a new motorhome, so I got to redo it. Lots of money on my board.
Yeah.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
Do you have a $100 bill with Benjamin on it?
Yeah. Yes, he's down here somewhere. Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. Yeah, we made good photocopies, and I thought, man, don't ever let those out because I'll go to prison for that. And this time, not as the director. All right. All right, everyone. Next week, same time, we'll have another class. We'll talk about some stuff. See you all soon.
Bye.
Thanks for
Bye.
the opportunity.
Post your friends when
Okay.
this will be. Why don't I put this in the butterfly experiment?
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
I'll post this in the butterfly experiment and on the
Great.
NFNLP thing. All right. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
You
Bye.
too.
Fabulous.